Namaskar. Israel-Hamas deal reached, but there's always a but in all these conversations, these kinds of agreements. I'll come to that in just a moment. Also, we're going to be talking about Hindenburg research closing down, but there's also a new twist in that one too. So two things, please like this video, and I'm going to start with a bang in the sense I'm going to first take you to White House. Thank you, White House, for allowing us to share this video. Let's play that video, please.
It's a very good afternoon, because at long last, I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas. For more than 15 months of conflict that began with Hezbollah's brutal massacre on October the 7th, more than 15 months of terror for the hostages, their families, the Israeli people, more than 15 months of suffering by the innocent people of Gaza. Fighting in Gaza will stop, and soon the hostages will return home to their families. The elements of this deal were what I laid out in detail this past May, which was embraced by countries around the world and endorsed overwhelmingly by the UN Security Council. The deal is structured in 3 phases. Phase 1 will last 6 weeks. It includes a full and complete ceasefire, withdrawal of Israeli forces from all the populated areas of Gaza, and the release of a number of hostages held by Hamas, including women and elderly and the wounded. And I'm proud to say Americans will be part of that hostage release in Phase 1 as well. And the Vice President and I cannot wait to welcome them home. In exchange, Israel released hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. And during Phase 1, the Palestinians can also return to their neighborhoods in all the areas of Gaza. And the surge of humanitarian assistance into Gaza will begin. And the innocent people can have a greater access to these vital supplies.
Okay, so that was Biden's speech from the White House, and he also gave a farewell speech today. This is his last speech as a president. Today, he seemed pretty cogent. That's good for him. Now, a couple of takeaways here. The numbers that I'm hearing is 33 hostages in the first phase and a further 30 in the second phase. And that's all there appear to be. Now, how many of them are going to be alive and how many are dead? That's a big question. In fact, one of you have commented about that. What is the point in getting back bodies? Think about it, guys. I mean, if the bodies if they were dead for a while, by now the bodies would have decomposed. So I'm sorry to say, use these morbid thoughts, but that's one big question. Also, this has to be ratified by the cabinet of Israel. Will they ratify it? I think they will ratify it, because I don't think they would have gone this far without getting an okay from everybody before even sitting down at the table in Qatar. So that is one thing. But there are some people in Israel who are also opposing it. For example, there is this one group called Tikwa, which means hope, and it's one of the co-founders, Zvika Mor, Tzvika Mor, M-O-R, Tzvika Mor. He says that he is opposed to it because he doesn't want any Palestinians that are currently in prison in Israel to be released back. In fact, what gets more of a weightage here is his own son. His name is Eitan. Eitan Mor is still a hostage at Hamas, with Hamas. So he's saying, no, I fully understand. And he says that my son would support me 100%. So there are some discordant notes in Israel, but many are preferring to have this kind of a ceasefire. And you've probably heard from President Biden that all Gazans can go back wherever they were living before and reoccupy their places. Of course, there will be a huge amount of rebuilding. And we also know that of the 30,000 which comprise the rank and file of Hamas, about 17,000 have perished thus far, which means there are another 13,000 left. And recent skirmishes, Israel lost 5 soldiers and perhaps a few injured who might also, God forbid, die. So there are casualties on Israel's side too. So this is not a deal that I think Israel would like, but they don't have a choice because the Houthis are firing missiles every day. They are firing dozens of missiles at Israel, and there are air sirens going off all across Israel. So this is a living problem now. So probably they thought, okay, let us at least take care of one frontier, not worry about it, at least for the time being. As to what's going to happen in Gaza, it could be a union territory like situation there that Israel would administrate. I think that's what is happening, or that's what is going to happen, because there's a lot of rebuilding that needs to be done. At the time of rebuilding, they have to ensure that the same concept of tunneling doesn't take place, which means somebody needs to make sure the cement, the steel, whatever is coming into Gaza is repurposed or purposed correctly, not repurposed for doing something else. So that's as far as the Israel-Hamas agreement goes. Now, there's another interesting development that has taken place, and that is that Anderson of Hindenburg Research has said that they are going to be closing down Hindenburg. And the interesting thing there is that he says, now I'm going to open source all my algorithms, which means there, potentially 10 Hindenburg Research, 10 such things could, sprout in no time at all. So he says, over the next 6 months or so, I plan to work on a series of materials and videos to open source every aspect of our model and how we conduct our investigations. So, guys, I have to tell you one thing. What gives these people scope is that our systems, Indian stock market systems, are flawed. That they took pot shots at Adani. I can search and replace Adani with any other layered company, multinodal company, like you know what I'm talking about, other family-run companies, and most of it would be true. Everybody does the same kind of jugaad to try and raise money. They use the stock of one of their companies as collateral to buy or invest in another company, and when market is good, this will sustain, but when market goes south or that starts falling, everything starts collapsing. So these things are common, and the SEBI is the one that should be making sure that such things are not done. I mean, it's frowned, but it might not be illegal. You have to make it illegal that you cannot use the collateral of one company's stock of your own as the surety for raising more money for another branch. For the longest time, one big company which starts with the letter, or one big conglomerate which starts with the letter A and ends with the letter I, what a coincidence, used to do the exact same thing. They would take loan promising that they would not use that to buy shares of sister companies, and they would do exactly that. And that's how all the companies would trade amongst themselves and keep the share price afloat. The price discovery, which again people start laughing when I say this thing, price discovery is where the buyer and the seller agree on a set price, which is on the valuation of the company. Not just inventory, not just one thing or the other, about the market, the scope, the visibility, and how they can execute on a particular thing. So all these things together is what makes up price discovery, and India is still far from there, and India needs to get there. As to Hindenburg Research itself, they have been using the same kind of methodology as what Soros did to bring down UK when John Major was the prime minister. And you know that story, how he made his first billion. I've talked about this many times. Now, Hindenburg shorted Adani stocks, and when the stocks fell, I'm sure they cleaned up big. Maybe they are expecting some sort of a blowback once the Trump administration comes into power, that they don't want all these things to be visible. So they are now scattering themselves out, saying that we are going to open source it. If 10 Hindenburgs sprout out from this, then who are you going to go after, right? So this is going to be a constant pain. But what prevents India from cleaning up its act? In fact, the other case, it's still moving forward in New York. And that one is different from this one. So there is a systemic problem. That problem needs to be addressed. And once that is addressed, then India would be able to stand up to these things much more effectively. And not only that, the people's confidence will go up in India's stock markets. And I'm hoping that that would happen very soon, because there's a new gift exchange is coming up now, and that's going to be based out of Ahmedabad, or I should say Gandhinagar, and hopefully that is clean. I don't know. I mean, I'm just hoping that that would be clean. So this is where things stand. I have talked enough. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Manoj Soma wants to know, happy Kanuma to you, sir. Thank you and same to you. My question is, why all this suddenly happening, sir? China is with virus, Hamas war is into an end. Why, sir? Is it just cause Trump or what? Your views? No, there are some alignments and realignments. Hindenburg closing down, I think it's with a different purpose. My guess is, and this has been emphasized by Major General Rajiv Narayanan on our show, he'll be here today evening, we'll be talking about something else, but he said that the Crown Council has stopped funding Soros. And if, let us say, Hindenburg was being funded by Soros, then Hindenburg would have run out of funding. See, even if you want to short a particular stock, you need money. You need to buy the stock and then bet on it going lower. Then you publish the research that basically takes a hammer to the stock's price. And because you have bet that the stock will go low, you will clean up big in the market. This is a simple strategy, but for this you need a lot of money, and you need to also work in a very converging fashion, ensuring that the person that you are taking aim at does indeed suffer and then fall in stock price, and then you clean up, and then the stock will bounce back once they know that once they find out that the fundamentals are quite sound. Unfortunate but true, this is happening, and India needs to basically harden itself. Like I said, have better methods. Make sure that you don't have this kind of interdependence of stock price from one group company to another group company, and have intrinsic value and build intrinsic value in each one of these group companies. That's how you would succeed and survive in this environment. So that's all I have. Any other questions? Okay, Pawan Kishore wants to know, what big decision can be expected on the 20th of this month? One big bill that hopes to take care of US's economic situation, also the border illegal, handling the illegals, and I think there's one other thing, probably how to drill more in US to allow all the shale processing, for example, to start, so that, and also tariffs. Everything is going to be happening. In fact, some things are already taking shape. Yesterday, I saw an announcement from Donald Trump that just like the Internal Revenue Service, which is the equivalent of income tax in India, the Internal Revenue Service, they are going to start a new department called the External Revenue Service. And it's tasked with realizing tariffs, any other kind of duties, levies, fines that may be levied on different countries, everything not inside United States, but outside. So this is probably going to be having branches just like CIA in multiple countries, so that they can monitor what's going and what's coming. Remember, I told you that if you levy tariffs of 25% or 30% on China, then they might take the product and make the product there, but take it to another country, stamp it as if it is coming from that other country, and that other country does not have the 25% tariff, so they escape tariffs. So these are all things that need to be monitored. So the ERS, I'm assuming, will be tasked to make sure that the original country where the product was produced is easily traceable. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Interesting times ahead. Yes, there is a plan to try and know any relief in terms of tax from Pawan Kishore. Yes, there is plans. I think they want to bring down the personal income tax to, I think, I don't remember the numbers. He even mulled loud whether the personal income tax can be completely done away with. That is not possible, in my opinion. Everybody in US pays tax. Even a student, if they make some money working part-time, they have to pay tax. Even if they wait on tables, they have to declare the tips and as income and then pay tax on it. So a lot of things going on that way. So I think there will be a slab which will probably get lowered. Certainly corporate taxes, they're also looking at lowering them from 22 to 17, if I remember correctly, 17. I mean, if that is done, that would be huge. And they may want to also ban all this tax inversion bullshit that all the Fortune 500 companies use, including the Googles and the Apples of the world, to not incorporate themselves in US but elsewhere. That needs to be plugged. Let's see what happens. Manav San wants to know, US has introduced Make Greenland Great Again bill. Is Greenland the next Tibet? How can USA just grab another country like a colonial imperial conqueror? Manav San, there was a survey taken of Greenlanders, and they said that they would like to be part of United States. 57% voted for it, and I think 37 or so voted against it. And Denmark, which made a lot of noises, is now slowly coming down to reality. They want to negotiate. So this may not end with Greenland being a part of US, but it might end up having, it might end up with US having a lot of bases in Greenland so that they can monitor what is happening in the Arctic Sea area. So let's see what happens. Next. Mahesh Pattabhiraman wants to know, how will Russia react? Well, they are trying to bring a closure to the Russia-Ukraine war also, because the new enemy, the way Trump sees it, is China. In fact, tomorrow, Professor RV and I will be talking about it and how or what India needs to do should this end up becoming the next big war, US versus China. Next one, please. Auntie wants to know, Soros is a money milking family. What will they do? Well, from what I'm hearing, the Crown Council has cut off funding for them. I mean, they have been doing a lot of shorting, this, that, and everything. They are already worth in billions. The old man is, I think, gone now, or more or less like a vegetable now. The younger one has, of course, aligned himself with Huma, and that's not a good thing. Huma has links to Muslim Brotherhood, to Pakistan, all the bad elements that you can think of. So I don't know what Alex is going to do. Who knows? He might get embroiled in a scam. He might spend some time in jail. Who knows? Trump is certainly determined. If you watch the statements that Kash Patel made about the judge and the judge's family, the one who sentenced Trump and then let him go without any punishment time, Marchan, Marchan. There's a video that I'll be doing of that one also. His daughter has a $15 million problem that, seems to have come from this trial itself. So a lot of interesting things there. I will be doing that in the next few days. Next one, please. Any update on Panama Canal? Not yet. I think Greenland is probably the first one out because that is the more critical one. Panama Canal, there was a very detailed video that Rajiv Narayananji did with me on P Gurus. Do watch that one because he has given 3 or 4 ways in which people are trying to go from the west coast of North America to the east coast of North America, not just the Panama Canal. So please take a look at that video. Next. I think that's all the questions we have. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.